Greetings and welcome, everyone. It's All You Can Geek Moviecast, episode 361. I'm one of your hosts, Jim Gast, and I'm joined by one other host, Tony Korkanakis.
Yo!
Tony Korkanakis.
What's up, guys? It's a
What's up,
two-man
guys?
show today.
It's a two-man show. This has not been a two-man show, I don't think, since Corey and I did the first episode, zero of this show.
No, there was one time where it was just Corey and I because you and Mike had something to do.
Oh, okay. I couldn't remember.
I want to say it was 2 years ago, about-ish. So go back 100 episodes or so.
Yeah, it is Mike's birthday week, apparently. I like how birthday weeks, it becomes like a week now. Yeah. You know what I mean? I understand he's out for dinner. I'm not blaming him or anything. He's out for dinner. But his birthday was yesterday, so happy birthday, Mike. And he's out for dinner tonight, so... Actually, I think he's working late tonight. I don't know. One of those two. Corey's MIA. We lost him. I don't know where he went. So, yeah, we're doing this a night later, which kind of threw off the schedule. But anyways, welcome everybody to this episode. We have a lot to talk about in the games cast of stuff. We have a decent box office to talk about this week, though. In the movie cast. So. After weeks and weeks of just being down and down and down, we have finally a movie. Rated R, horror movie, brings in $123 million.
Ooh. Very strong. Very strong.
Excellent. Now, discussions we've had on Slack about this obviously relate to, was this enhanced by Stranger Things on Netflix? Because it has a very kid-centric... Listen, I'm not saying for those yelling at their screens, and this is what I was talking about with Corey, the movie, the material has existed far before Stranger Things. I understand that. We understand that. And that's what I was trying to explain to Corey just in between work. I wasn't trying to attack Corey in his stance of, did this cause this? But I did want to make sure he knew that this was this is not like... Stranger Things, it was based on some of this, actually. Some of the key takeaways that Stranger Things influenced was from it, Stephen King's story. So, fantastic job for it, though. Well done, $123 million. It's...
Yeah, and like I was saying, I think it's a combination of, a couple different factors. I mean, it was a pent-up box office because the whole month of August was pretty much shit. Right after a holiday season, people are back to school, no barbecues, picnics, that kind of stuff going on anymore.
Yeah.
People are getting back into the routine of the school year, even though if you're not in school, most people's things naturally will gravitate and adjust towards that. But yes, I mean, Stranger Things definitely, I think, brought that kind of genre back to the forefront of people's minds. Like, oh man, this stuff is pretty cool because, I think we even talked about on last year with Stranger Things that it's something that's not, being addressed. It's not being catered to.
No. And that's what I like. I do like that aspect of this. I haven't seen this yet, and I don't know if I'll see it in the theaters, but I might. I mean, I actually was more interested in this because of Stranger Things, and experiencing that level of with the kids involved in a horror movie. It is scary, but it's stuff that I could probably handle and not be freaked out too badly. Although I hear this is pretty freaky with the clown. So, but I'm psyched that it did so well. This upcoming week looks like shit again. We're back to, so, I mean, this has 2 weeks. It could have a very small drop-off. It really could.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's still going to do well. Very well.
I mean, really, guys.
I think it has a free run up until October.
Movie studios, for the love of God, space your shit out better. I mean, look at September. People want to go to the movies. There's the data. And there's nothing, Yeah.
Yep. Got to take a page out of the game industry book because, I think just in the past couple of years, people started releasing stuff outside the November bomb month, feast or famine.
Yeah. Well, anyways, let's get into some movie news. We've got a couple things here. I wanted to kind of tie this into releasing movies.
Hold on. Before we move on to that, even though Corey's not here to talk about it, Spider-Man Homecoming launched in China.
That's right. I forgot to put that on here.
To $71 million, I believe.
Whew.
Which is the third highest MCU.
It was at that point. It was at 823, right? 823 million.
No, it's 823 now. It was below 800 before.
Oh, okay. 823 now, and it's got to get to 875, I think. Mm-hmm. So it's got to close $50 million, and if they do by projections, it looks like you might win this one.
Pretty sure, yeah. Unless it totally craters off this weekend. Yeah. I think I'm a lock.
Yeah, I think you are too. I think you got it, but too bad Corey's not on this episode to talk about it. But we'll get his impressions next week. So, talking about release dates for movies, Star Wars Episode 9 has officially been delayed, which we... What's funny, though, about this is I remember you having this... I remember talking about this on the podcast where you saying, it's coming out in May of 2019? Yeah. And it doesn't make any sense because they're all Christmas movies. Yeah. And they moved it to December of 2019, so...
yeah, they listen. They're like, "Oh man, this guy's right."
I mean, they're blaming it on giving it extra time in the oven, essentially. And with the change of directors, by the way, for those who don't know, who was it? Colin Trevor was the guy I think that left. I forget who was directing it first. He's left the project. He's been fired. Apparently, he's not too well liked. It's very much like the Han Solo story. The directors for that were apparently insulting the woman. Who's the woman in charge of Star Wars? I can't remember her. Kathleen. Is it Kathleen Kennedy?
Yeah. Something like that, I think.
I'm trying to remember her name, but basically, you don't. Yeah, she is. Yeah, that's who it is. Kathleen Kennedy. She is the George Lucas now of Star Wars. So if you piss her off, you just don't do that. And apparently, both of these sets of directors have now done that. Thinking that they had all the power in the world because they're so big and popular. And, Disney doesn't play like that. It's just... Nope. As we know from Marvel. We've learned this from Marvel. They don't play with this. Like, actors try to strong-arm them for salaries, and they don't do it. They don't play along.
No, who do you think you are?
Mm-hmm. So, they're like, we'll just kill you off. We'll replace you. So in now is J.J. Abrams. And I am not the biggest fan of that. Because it, with the already parodies of the first original trilogy, like the parodies of that, obviously from the episode 7, Force Awakens, everybody said it's followed the same
story
pattern. Story beats of A New Hope. And now we're following the same director beats of that original trilogy. We have J.J. Abrams, or George Lucas directing the first one, then leaving and having a second director direct The Empire or this one, Episode 8, and now returning J.J. Abrams again to direct the last one, like George Lucas did, and to write it as well. So I don't like the parallels for that, because I do want, as much as I liked Force Awakens, I want something different, and I want something different. Mm-hmm. That was like the gimme movie, that was like, okay, here you guys did a movie, Safety is really good, but now we want new stuff.
Yep.
So, I mean, I don't hate him as a director. I do like J.J. Abrams, and ever since his wife talked him into doing less lens flare, I like him even more. So, it's not terrible news. It's just we'll see how this goes. I'm a little worried, but we'll see. Episode 8 on the horizon first. Then we'll deal with the possible train wreck that is Han Solo, which is now the only Star Wars movie launching in the summer. Yep. So just move it. Just move it to December. Like, I'm not going to care. You know what I mean? Like, there's plenty, as we just said, there's plenty of summer movies out there to go see next year. So they can move it to Christmas or move it to November or whatever they want to do with Han Solo, but give it more time because that sounds like that movie's been through hell. It needs more time. So.
Yeah, and that's fine. I mean, kind of like a game. Like, I'd rather have something be delayed and be good rather than rushed and shitty.
Yes.
Because, I mean, with the movie, there's no coming back from that.
No.
Like, you have to do a full remake.
Yeah, you don't patch that.
There's no patches for a movie, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Can you imagine patch notes for a movie like actor so-and-so has been replaced, actor so-and-so is now in the game, blah, blah, blah.
Fix a lot of framework animations with the Jaws and stuff like that. Could you imagine that with the animated stuff? Like, they just release it unfinished? Yep. Oh, my God.
Yep. It's like Freddy Krueger has been nerfed for balance issues. Like, what?
Oh, man. Let's see. Marvel news. Staying with Marvel. Marvel is... Now, this is from Stan Lee. Now, Mike has already said, 2050. But Marvel is still, despite what Kevin Feige has stated, they are, according to Stan Lee, they are actively pursuing their original franchises like X-Men and Fantastic Four. They are doing. According to Stan Lee, that's what they're going at. He just talked about it at a Comic-Con convention he was at, which I didn't think he was doing anymore, by the way.
I didn't think so either.
I know. But I was like, why is he doing comments at a Comic-Con? But maybe he's not doing like signings or something. I don't know. But yeah, so he basically said they are still looking. They want their properties back. They absolutely do. There's no way they're just going to forget about them, and they want them. And he does see them getting them back eventually, obviously. So
Yeah.
I see.
And the thing
that.
is, like, I kind of wonder if it would be okay for Marvel to do something kind of like DC is trying to do with like the alternate universes or whatever like that, where like you can have like, you know, X-Men Fox continuity only, but like X-Men that show up in the MCU, kind of like, you know, how we have Quicksilver already, you know.
Yeah. I mean, that's
Sorry,
the hat.
spoiler.
That's how we're. I mean, I don't know what they're planning on doing with like the crossover characters, or not even use Quicksilver. I mean, it's just a matter of getting the X-Men themselves, like having a Wolverine show up in Spider-Man or the Avengers movie. That's ultimately the goal I think we have. I think that I see it happening. I do. Like, I think that once the next X-Men movie comes out, depending on how well it does, which after Apocalypse, it's not in good shape. If that flops, they have to recast a Wolverine, don't forget. I think it makes all the sense in the world to work with Marvel at that point. I think it does. So, we'll see. Sticking with superhero news, we got Spawn, the Spawn movie now. Piggybacking off...
Oh, sorry, hold on. I got some interesting news. Speaking of X-Men, apparently Marvel today announced a new comic arc where Jean Grey is coming back from the dead.
Really?
Yes, after 13 years of being dead.
The actual Jean Grey, yeah.
The actual 616.
Yeah.
Not clone, not Kree or Skrull or whatever, not, you know, life model decoy or any bullshit. But apparently the real Jean Grey is coming back to the Marvel comic.
Yeah, see, there you go. That's pretty.
So that'll be interesting.
Yeah.
But the thing is, both Cyclops and Wolverine are currently dead. So I imagine if she still has her Phoenix power, might be like, you know, there you go. Like, hey,
bringing back the originals.
Exactly.
Yeah. Spawn movie. That's been talked about for a while. McFarlane was very happy to get that moving again. It's going to be a live action film. It's going to be low budget, which for a Spawn movie that's what we just had before, and I think that's what hurt it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I feel like Spawn is just a relic of its time.
Yeah.
It belongs in the edginess of the 90s.
I don't think it's that popular anymore. I haven't heard anything about Spawn since the 90s. Really?
No.
I mean,
it's unfortunate because, like, I remember Spawn was so popular back in the day.
Oh,
he was everywhere.
I mean, I used to get
everywhere.
I mean, I used to get Spawn figures. I used to get Spawn figures all the time. I used to love to get them. That was like when McFarlane Toys was like the toys to get. They were like super motion, like you can move them all over the place, and
it looked great.
Yeah, and they looked fantastic detail. But yeah, so I don't know. We'll see. We'll hear more about this year as it starts to ramp up, and then I think they're filming early next year for it. We'll see. Let's see what I have on news besides that. There was something else. Now I can't remember what it is though. So it was what we were talking about before, but something with Marvel, but I can't remember exactly what it is. Oh, not much other than I did want to make a shout out here. There was an Apple press conference this week. If you hadn't noticed, the iPhone X was announced. That's not what I want to talk about, though. I do want to say thank you to Apple for strong arming the movie studios to not charge more money for the 4K content.
Yeah,
because they did that, and you know what though, as that helps the consumer. So it's ridiculous to have to pay for a digital copy of something $27.99 for a 4K as opposed to $14.99 for the 1080p. I think that's ridiculous. And without the exception of Disney, every other studio now is on board with it. So not just in Apple, but going across the board with like all your digital services and even possibly printed discs, we might get a nice price drop on 4K, which will help that adoption, by itself. So I'd like to thank Apple with that. The rest of it we don't really have to talk about in the podcast because it's more gadget stuff, which we don't talk about too much. There's not really a segment for it, so I don't know really where to put it if we're going to. So
disappointed. Disappointed.
I told you, I'm going to get the X, if those are wondering, because, it's between... I actually thought about getting the 8, to be honest with you. I really did, because I do get a yearly upgrade, and by math-wise, it doesn't make sense for what I'm doing to not get a yearly upgrade, because otherwise I might as well buy the phone. I'm doing it on purpose for this, for value. So the 8 was an option, but I do like... I don't like that the 8 is still... I don't like this form factor, to be honest with you. I don't like the iPhone 7 Plus's form factor. It's too big. Like, I like having a larger screen, I like the larger battery, but the X phone is actually smaller than the Plus, but bigger than the 7. It fits perfectly in between. I think it's exactly what I want. Now, it is $1,000, which is ridiculous for a phone, and I think, unfortunately, as much as I just complimented Apple on their movie choice, they are going to open the floodgates for more expensive phones.
Yeah.
But anyways, so that's it for the news. Let's get into what we've been watching. Did you get anything to add? I mean, anything you watched recently?
No, unfortunately not.
Shoot. Of course, I didn't write down my list of things. I have watched a bunch of stuff. We haven't finished Stranger Things yet. Again, to watch it again. But My Hero Academia, I am now 2 episodes behind the finale.
Okay.
And yeah, that show is so good. Like, it's so good. If you're not watching... Like, if those wondering, like... another anime, we've talked about it already before, you should watch this. And if those not even watching anime, it's on Hulu. If you have a Hulu subscription, at least just check out the first couple episodes. It starts a little slow, but it's really good. It really is really good. I'm trying to remember what I was watching. I'm going to bring up my Netflix queue and Hulu queue just to kind of glance at it. But I know that I watched some stuff and I wanted to talk about it, and I completely forgot what the hell it was. So, but a lot of it was dealt with. This weekend was actually pretty busy with stuff, but I don't know. Of course, it's not loading now. The worst thing ever is dead air. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. The next thing I might watch, I don't know. The shows are coming back, right? Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Oh, you know what's opening? Oh, tonight. Tonight is South Park returns.
South Park?
Yeah,
okay.
It's Wednesday night. I'm trying to figure out here. Yeah, so I was watching some more South Park. That's about it, really. I mean, Always Sunny, but there's a lot of shows coming back that are going to be picking up this week. This is I think Supernatural's coming back this week. There's a lot of shows I'm not watching anymore, so my schedule is actually pretty open this year. But I'm not coming back.
The CW shows.
Yeah, I've dropped all the CW shows and I've dropped The Walking Dead. So, I mean, my schedule's open for good content. I want to hear about a good show that I should watch. So, I'll be watching for the new stuff. I'm sure there's always going to be new stuff. There's The Gifted coming out next week on Fox, I think. That's the 22nd, I think it premieres. That's an X-Men show. So, if it gets good reviews on that first episode, I'll check it out. But I will not start it unless I hear good things. You know what I should check out is Legion, because that did get good reviews.
Yeah, that's true. It's out.
Yeah.
It's complete.
So, anyways, I think that's going to wrap up the movie cast. There's not much else we can add. There's just 2 of us here today, so we're going to move on to the Games Cast, so tune into that. We got a lot of Nintendo stuff to talk about, so tune into that if you're interested in Switch stuff. If not, we've got a couple other things to talk about. Games we've played. I think there's a little game called Destiny 2 that came out that I played. Not as much as Corey, but I will give you my impressions, and Corey will be angry. So
is Corey playing Destiny 2? Is that what he's doing right now?
Maybe he is. I should open it and just see. I have not played it yet tonight. I meant to... whatever. We'll figure it out. Write us podcast at allyoucangeek.net. Follow us on Twitter at allyoucangeek. Like us on Facebook. Tune into the Games Cast. Tune in next week. We'll hopefully get these guys back. Thanks for listening. Thanks for viewing. Ciao.
See ya.